as I told you from day one, we will leave no stone unturned. The reason we're here searching this lake today is because we did have a lead that indicated that subjects came into this area. We have now put a dive team into the lake as a logical part of covering that lead. We're seeking evidence. The specific evidence we're looking for, we're not going to discuss, but we're just simply saying we're seeking evidence of anything that had to do with this particular crime. So the San Bernardino area has been, as you can all tell, has been invaded by many federal agents, primarily FBI, some ATF as well, and that is because this is a multi-agency investigation that we're working and will continue to work hand in hand with our partners in the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department as well as the San Bernardino PD and the ATF. The investigation, as I've mentioned many times, is massive, and that's going to take time, so I know it's a little bit of a disruption to the area. It would not be uncommon for us to do neighborhood canvasses at a later date. It's very possible we will. So if you see FBI agents out on the street, don't worry about it. It's part of the investigation, and that will continue. Yesterday, the sheriff, the chief, myself, the county district attorney, and the U.S. attorney met with all the family members that agreed to meet with us, which was most of them. The family members were met with, first, the family members of the decedents, and secondly, it was the family members of the injured. Speaking of the injured, we now have a 22nd injured who checked herself into a hospital and realized that she had been injured in the initial attack last Thursday. As part of those meetings with the family, which by the way, none of us ever want to have another meeting like that. Those poor people have been through a lot. And I would ask for your respect of their privacy. They have been through a tremendous amount over this past week, and they continue to go through tremendous. The emotional and physical scars that were suffered by them will take years to get over, and many of them will never get over some of the emotional scars. So I ask you to please respect them. Please be patient with us. We're trying not to. My number one concern here is the protection of the integrity of this investigation. Because remember, if there is a prosecution, it could be 2 years from now in a courtroom, and everybody's gone. But those federal prosecutors and the agents and the task force officers will be there to help present the decisions that we make in these initial days. So that it's incredibly important that we're methodical and we think things through and what we say to the press. I recognize there's a lot of information that's out there in the media. Some of it may be factual, other of it is not. One of the things I want to clear up, there has been reporting of a 2012 terror plot in the Riverside area. We did arrest 4 individuals back in 2012. They have since been convicted of material support to terrorism. Those individuals were not planning to conduct a terrorist attack in the U.S. They were planning to go overseas and fight, go through a Taliban training camp, and ultimately enter an Al-Qaeda training camp and fight against U.S. and coalition forces in Afghanistan. But there was never, in my recollection, there was never, in fact I'm certain of it, a credible threat to the U.S. We watched them for months and months and months. We had human and signals intelligence into them, and there was never a danger to this community. And then we took them down. The case obviously made them down. And I just want to make sure we're clear that we've already heard on many media that were taken down as part of their plan to attack, a terrorist attack on the U.S. At this point, I'd like to turn it over for any questions you have.
Was there any connection between Marquez, Farouk, and these 4 terrorists?
I've heard the same reports. It would be irresponsible of us to not look into any potential connections. We don't know all those connections yet. If there were any, there may be connections that are multiple degrees of separation. We've got to find that out. I'm not prepared to discuss that at this point because I just don't have all the answers.
But that is something that is being investigated.
Of course, it would be irresponsible not to investigate it. When we had a case that was taken down 3 years ago, in November, I believe it was November of 2012, right in the same general area.
Director Bowden, how important is today's search to your investigation?
Well, first of all, we think this search will last for days. It's very possible. We would be remiss not to go into this lake and conduct a thorough search for any evidentiary items that may come back. At the end of the day, we may come up with nothing. We just don't know yet.
Is this the second day?
Particular area.
Is this the second day of searching here?
Yesterday was an assessment, I believe. Today is the first day of search.
Director Bowdish.
Particular area.
I'm not going to get into what led us here. There were a couple leads that led us to this park. And because this park has a large body of water, the FBI has 4 dive teams. The Sheriff's Department also has a dive team. That's exactly what these people do. They're specialists in underwater evidence retrieval.
Director Bowdish.
Hear something into the lake? Is that the idea?
Sorry?
That they discarded something into the lake?
We don't know that. We just would be remiss not to at least explore that option.
Could there be something not in the lake? I mean, is your focus the lake itself, or have you already searched the whole park?
We've already searched the area pretty extensively. The lake is a much more tedious task, and that takes speculation.
When you were told that they received your hit on that day, that's prior to that?
It was on that day.
Director Bowdish.
Can I ask you, just going back a few years, do you still believe or do you not know if this family had any knowledge? I mean, they had pipe bombs in the place, they had guns, that no one had any knowledge of anything?
That's speculation for me to go there at this point. We don't know everything. Again, methodical, factual investigation has to go through. We're trying to be extremely cautious to ensure that we know a solid case, if there is a case to be presented in federal court.
Is this still clearly a terrorist investigation?
At this point, we continue to investigate this case as a terrorist act.
Is the indication that Malik and Farouk came here after the attack at the IRC?
I'm not going to get into when or how we received those leads, but we have leads that indicate that they were here in the area at some point.
Do we yet know what they were doing between the attack? Do we yet know what they were doing between the attack and the time that they were shot dead on San Bernardino Avenue?
We're still walking through that. That is, we are building a timeline of everything we know to ensure that we can retrace every step they took. Potentially, if there were other contacts made, and that's a potential. We don't know. We're just trying to ensure we account for every minute of the time that day prior to the time that the heroic law enforcement officers.
Is it possible they were here?
Is Marquez in FBI custody?
Is it possible they were here?
It's possible they were at this park.
Is Marquez in FBI custody?
I'm not going to address anything to do with it.
Is the family being completely
Last question.
cooperative?
I can confirm that we're searching for any evidence that has to do with this crime. That's all I'm going to
How
address
many more
today.
days will you be out here? How many more days?
That's all I'm-
The fighting here was
No, just a days.
All right, I'm sorry, you've been waiting. You're going to the final question.
No, I was just. My question was the same as his. Do we know if they came this direction following the shooting? We know they were seen fleeing in an SUV. Is this the way they came?
We have indications through leads. Again, we're covering many leads. We're conducting hundreds and hundreds of interviews. We have indications that at some point they came to this park. Now, I do want to reassure the public, there is no belief that there's anything dangerous as a result of this case in this place.
Surveillance video of them
Thank you for
after
your
they
time.
left.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.